on PPH bundle. There is nothing new in this, but it is just a concept, just a protocol which has great benefits. So PPH is the leading cause of maternal mortality worldwide. Each year about 14 million women experience this horrifying ordeal, and 70,000 maternal fatalities occur. Even when the women survive, they may have lifelong reproductive disabilities. So what exactly is PPH? Primary PPH is when the blood loss is 500 ml or more than 500 ml in normal vaginal delivery. It is 1000 for cesarean section and 1500 for cesarean hysterectomy. If there is change of 10% in hematocrit value following childbirth, then also it is a heavy bleeding, and any amount of blood loss that makes the patient hemodynamically unstable. Secondary PPH is when there is purpural hemorrhage 24 hours to 12 weeks following the delivery. PPH is considered to be moderate if the estimated blood loss is 1000 to 2000 ml. It is massive if the blood loss is more than 2000 ml. So what are the main causes? As we all know, we consider 4 T's, that is problem in tone, thrombin, trauma and tissue. But now they have put 2 more causes, added 2 more causes in these 4 T. One is uterine inversion and another is lower segment placenta, because the frequency of this has now increased because of increased rate of cesarean section. So what are the risk factors for PPH? Antepartum risk factors are age, ethnicity, grand multiparity, overdistended uterus, abnormal placentation, previous cesarean section, preeclampsia, previous history of postpartum hemorrhage, chorioamnitis, maternal anemia and coagulation disorders. Intrapartum risk factors are whenever there is prolonged labor, augmented labor, instrumental delivery, lacerations occurring in cervical, vaginal or perineal area, fetal macrosomia, midline episiotomy, epidural analgesia at times, retained products and uterine rupture. Now atonic PPH. The most common cause of PPH is atonic PPH, that is in 75 to 90% of the cases. Most of the physiological processes in the third stage of labor remains unclear. However, primary PPH due to uterine atony occurs when the relaxed myometrium fails to constrict the blood vessels, causing hemorrhage, as up to 1/5 of maternal cardiac output, that is 1000 ml per minute, enters the uteroplacental circulation at term. So PPH can lead to severe loss of blood, and that too in a very short span of time. That is the problem. So we say that PPH is directly proportional to maternal mortality ratio, and PPH is sword of Damocles which is hanging over obstetricians' head always. Now what is the scenario in our country? The MMR was 130 in 2014 to 16 census, and it has gradually decreased to 97 in 2020. But in 2023 census also the figure is 97. It is stuck on that only because of the excessive number of deaths which occurred during COVID. So the reason was another, but we are stuck at the same level for past 3-4 years. In Madhya Pradesh, the maternal mortality is highest and it is least, that is 19 in Kerala, and in Delhi it is 97. So what are the main causes of maternal mortality? All over the world it is considered that the hemorrhage is the main cause of maternal mortality, around 25 to 35% of cases occurring due to this. Now what is the global concern? Why the status is still bad in spite of the efforts for so many years? Everyone all over the world is working on the same subject, but still the results are not the desired ones. That is because of lack of adherence to guidelines, absent training modules, lack of access to supplies of drugs, and no concept of teamwork or tools. There is delay in care, there is delay in transporting the patient to a proper place, there is lack of aggressiveness in managing the situation. That is the main culprit. WHO has revised and published the guidelines many times, right from 2012, in 2017, then 2018 and in 2019. But in India, the guidelines given by our Ministry of Health was on PPH is 2015 guidelines. That was the last guidelines we had from Government of India, though FOGSI has given guidelines after that also, GCPR also, but Government of India guidelines are of 2015. Despite strong efforts to adopt and scale up the use of recommendations, PPH still remains the leading cause of maternal deaths. So now the WHO, in a summit on PPH in Dubai last year, the roadmap to save mothers was made by WHO, and their target is 70% reduction in PPH deaths and disability by the year 2030. So this is the roadmap they have given. Here you can see 2024 is the main year where they have considered so many things to be done in this year. Then this another approach came, that is PPH emergency care bundle approach, which was first given by State of Massachusetts Government Hospital, and then it was adopted by FIGO and in hand to hand by many other people who were related with maternal care. The evolution of PPH emergency care using a bundle approach is having the aim to save mother's life. Their learning curve is very less. It is suitable for all levels, right from PHC to tertiary care. The objective is to improve the PPH care at every obstetric unit. It is novel way of conceptualizing the emergency care response. It integrates clinical interventions for rapid effective emergency care. Non-surgical steps are relatively very simple to perform, and it is evidence-based, cost-effective thing. So now what actually is a care bundle? Bundles are small sets of evidence-based interventions for specific patient population and care settings. It is a structured way of improving the process of care and patient outcome. When implemented together, it leads to a better patient outcome. For example, we have antibiotic care bundle, urinary care catheter bundles, central vascular bundle, PVC bundle, then septic bundle, and now we have PPH bundle also. The goal of bundle approach is to standardize and expedite the care protocol. Simple organized patient care movements you have to do. Reinforce your team performance, reduce variability, increase adherence to recommendations. This will improve your outcomes. Then PPH emergency training program. The clinical program is PPH emergency response, respectful maternity care. Non-clinical is teamwork, network integration, facility readiness, leadership, then keeping the data, monitoring the data, and simultaneously doing the quality improvement. The emergency care training program has been designed for 3 days. Training program on first day gives you the critical non-surgical clinical components of emergency care. Second and third day, non-clinical health system, strengthening the components of healthcare, the critical care system also. The teamwork and communication, these are essential elements of quality patient care. Establishing an obstetric rapid response team is very important in places where the number of deliveries are occurring in large number. The facility readiness is very important. Achieving and maintaining a state of preparedness in the facility to improve the PPH emergency care, network integration, then data monitoring and leadership. The clinical bundle is composed of 3 things, that is trigger, that is PPH, then component which can be clinical and non-clinical, then supportive measures. So first you do the AMTSL, that is active management of third stage of labor, which is same for all and which is done in all the patients. This contains 6 elements. One is check the uterus for presence of second baby, though it is outdated now, but still it is still given in that. In less than 1 minute, administer a uterotonic drug which makes the uterus contract powerfully. Apply controlled contraction. After delivery of the placenta, immediately start massaging the uterus. Examine the placenta to make sure it is complete and there is nothing retained in the uterus. Examine the woman's vagina, perineum, external genitalia for lacerations and active bleeding. That we do in all the patients. Now, after that, still you feel that your patient is bleeding. So just start taking of note that how much bleeding is happening, and then your first response bundle starts. This is uterine massage, IV fluids, uterotonics and tranexamic acid. The first response says that first thing you do is uterine massage. It involves placing a hand on the woman's lower abdomen and stimulating the uterus by repetitive massaging or squeezing movements. It helps an expression of blood clots if there are any in the cavity. Then you give IV fluids. It is very important in obstetric unit you always use at least the green cannula, if not the grey or orange one, because sometimes we need to give a lot of fluids and it will not go with your blue and your 20 and 22 number cannulas. So wide bore IV cannula is very important. Then we give crystalloids, normal saline, ringer lactate. How much fluid should we give? Do not use the fluid to elevate the blood pressure to the normal range in an actively hemorrhagic woman. Our first goal is to stop the hemorrhage and simultaneously we have to maintain her BP. It doesn't go like that you are giving fluids trying to maintain the BP and you are not trying to stop the hemorrhage. If a woman is actively hemorrhaging, give a 300 cc to 500 cc bolus of crystalloid, that can be normal saline or ringer lactate, and repeat only to keep the systolic BP above 70. If there is still active bleeding, prioritize control of bleeding over the rapid infusion of crystalloids. So first response bundle as we are discussing. Now our next step is to give the uterotonics. We will give oxytocin 20 to 40 units in 1 liter of normal saline, 500 ml over 10 minutes, followed by 250 ml per hour. Total dose should not exceed 100 units in 24 hours. Then our next drug is tranexamic acid, that is 1 gram in 10 ml within 3 hours of PPH, and we can repeat the drug in 30 minutes. Now what are the supportive measures in first care bundle? That is, we need to treat the tears, we need to empty the bladder, and we need to empty the uterus. That is, we should treat the tears, immediately do the stitching and then put the catheter in the bladder so that you can know how much outflow of urine is there. There is no AKI, and moreover it will not lead to relaxation of uterus, and we must empty the uterus so that it can contract. Now you have done your first response bundle and your patient is still bleeding. Now comes the role of refractory PPH interventions. First is compression, then is UBT, then is anti-shock garment, and then we have sportive measures. Bimanual uterine compression, our gold standard, which we all know and we have been doing it for ages together. Then aortic compression. It is very important to do the aortic compression for the time being till you are getting some help or till your team is gathering in the OT. You can at least do compression of aorta. That will be as good as you have done the internal artery ligation temporarily. It can decrease the amount of bleeding which is happening. Whenever you are examining any thin patient, just put your fist on the left side of your patient and you will feel the aortic pulsations. That is what you need to compress at that time. So always you should do the maneuver first on a normal patient, then try in the operation theatre. That is always good. Then uterine balloon tamponade. Uterine balloon tamponade is recommended for the treatment of PPH due to uterine atony after birth in the women who do not respond to standard first line treatments. The immediate recourse to surgical intervention and access to blood products is sometimes not possible, but if it is needed, then at least for that time we can give her this balloon tamponade. The balloon tamponade can be, you can use even this condom catheter can be used, we can use Bakri balloon also. This we all, I think, have been trained by madam, we have already trained, and the places who have done Manyata care, their staff is also trained about all these. Then this non-pneumatic anti-shock garment. The concept came from anti-gravity uniform designed by NASA. It is made of neoprene-like material with strong Velcro closures. Then temporarily it saves the life. It is designed to be wrapped around lower limbs and abdomen of the patient experiencing bleeding. It applies circumferential pressure to lower limbs and abdomen, thus prevents pooling of blood in lower extremities. So it reduces the blood flow to uterus, bleeding stops as if you have ligated the internal iliac. It can keep the woman alive for 48 hours. Without this, she may bleed out in 30 minutes only. In this silver hour of 48, these silver hours which you have got, what you can do is you can plan surgery, shift the patient even to a faraway tertiary care center, you can arrange blood, you can call for help, anything you can do. This is endorsed by WHO, UNICEF, FIGO, FOXY, everybody endorses this. And I think all the places who are delivering the mothers, they should have at least this garment. You can order it on Amazon, it just costs you 5,600 rupees only. And if you save even one life, your money is worth that. It is, how do you apply that garment? You have to just spread the garment on the table, you take the patient and keep the patient on the garment, then side by side, two persons will tie the lower limb places, and the knee part and the joint parts, they are free, patient can freely move them, and the abdomen part is taken care by one person only. So that is how we do it. This was we did it in FIGO, and I was stationed there at this garment station at that time. Then what supportive measures in refractory causes? Supportive measures are obviously blood transfusions, massive blood transfusion will be required, blood products will be required, then recombinant factor 7 is important, though it is very costly, but at least in cases of emergency we should at least be aware that ये यहाँ मिलता है, हम मंगा सकते हैं, patient को बोल सकते हैं. It costs you around 75,000 to 1 lakh depending upon from where you are getting it. Then you need to refer the patient to a tertiary care center, but these kind of patients are not to be transported in a patient transport vehicle. This should be proper ambulance, and your doctor or you yourself or your anesthetist should go with the patient while transferring, and that place should be ready that such kind of patient is coming at their facility. They should be priorly informed about that. Then surgical steps we have to take, that is stepwise devascularization of uterus. You have to tie uterine artery, then you have to tie your ovarian, internal iliac, you may need hysterectomy, and there may be repair of deep tears. So everything you have to do. The additional best clinical practices which you can do is that you can prevent anemia at least, so that your patient is prepared with 13 gram HB and she can give you time till somebody brings blood for her. Then malaria prevention, HIV status and treatment if necessary. Then birth planning and complication preparedness should always be there. There are people, especially in South, they are using the cannula for in this atonic cases. In the use of the cannula, it is very important when you have switched off the suction pressure, only then you need to take out the cannula. You just cannot do like that as we do in MTP. This moment should never be there, because your cervix and everything with the holes are so much broad in those cannulas that everything will go inside and everything will be torn to pieces. So the use of that cannula, how to do it is also very important. So then additional best clinical practices are early recognition of excessive bleeding. मतलब उसको हम डिनाई नहीं करें, अरे नहीं नहीं नहीं. समटाइम्स देर इज टेंडेंसी, आवर टेंडेंसी इज टू डिनाई इट, नहीं 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 हो रहा नहीं हो रहा नहीं हो रहा, एक और लगा दे, एक और लगा दे ऑक्सीटोसिन. जस्ट डोंट गो लाइक दैट. You need to measure whatever blood is being lost and then you need to define and go aggressively. थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो जाएगी ड्रग, कोई बात नहीं, कम नहीं होनी चाहिए. Then monitoring the vital signs, then laboratory testing, clotting factors, etc. Keep blood ready for type and cross match. If placenta delivered, always inspect yourself. Reassurance to woman and her family that everything is being done for her. Take consent, do time to time counseling, do meticulous documentation respecting timeline of events. Never hesitate to call for help. Then inform woman and her family of the treatment options which you can provide. Continue monitoring for status and development of shock. If shock suspected, begin shock treatment. Surgical management, if required, immediately start. Uterine compression sutures you can give if it is a cesarean case. Uterine or uterovarian artery ligation, at least you can start. Begin with conservative management and try to spare the uterus. If woman continues to bleed, don't ever hesitate to do hysterectomy. Why bundle is the need of hour? Steps of bundle 1 and 2 are very simple and very easy to carry out. They are doable in all types of obstetric units. Quick emergency measures are life-saving. Timely transfer and UBT and NASG garment give better outcome in patients. Bundle concept well received in OT, labor room and recovery staff. Bundle accomplishes many tasks simultaneously. It is just that the care is same, but what we are doing is we are doing it in a little modified way. We are doing it in a teamwork. Everyone in your OT should be assigned के अगर कुछ प्रॉब्लम होती है तो आपको ये लगाना है, आपको ये करना है, आपको ये करना है, आपको ये करना है, so that nobody fumbles, and do those drills. That is very important. Your rapid response team should be efficient and it should be there. Medicine equipment checklist should be there. Twice weekly we can do the drills, then later on we can do weekly, and after that your staff will be ready and they won't be needing it if your staff and team is same. Then simulation practices you can do. Team coordination is very important. Time to time audit and appraisal is also very important. This E-motive is also same as we just considered. Later on now the bundle has come up. For a perfect team to combat, practice of emergency response on regular basis is very important. Communication between provider, patient and family is important. Quality improvement is very important. Availability and accessibility of supplies is very important. Learn documentation. Learn and practice documentation. That is also very important. All these people, this FIGO, FOXY, JEPIGO, ACOG, European, everybody endorses this, everyone. So the golden hour is that the first 60 minutes after the start of PPH is very important. Greater the delay in starting the resuscitation, lower the percentage of survival. First 20 to 30 minutes are very important. Rapid response using bundle approach will make a huge difference. Then preventing the preventable. Mortality from PPH is our duty, and believe me, it is doable. At least we can try. Out of 10, you will be able to save at least 6. To combat these 4 T's, that is tone, tissue, trauma, thrombin, what is important is your tenacity. आप team leader हो, आपको खड़े रहना है बिल्कुल. आप नहीं weak पड़ सकते उस time पे. Your team is very important. That should be well trained. Timeline of events is very important. आपको उसको document करना है, timeline के हिसाब से document करना है. ये नहीं कि आपने पहले कुछ लिख दिया फिर के मैंने तो ये भी लगाया था, ये भी लिख दो. You can't go like that. It will not stand in medico-legal court. Then training is very important. Training of your staff and giving them duty is very important. Thank you.